Jeff, what have you learned the most since Brad Holmes? Or what have you learned most of Brad Holmes since he's been the Detroit Lions general manager?
Well, this is easy. I learned what a competent general manager looks like.
Must be nice, huh?
It's great. There's a lot, right? Looking at past general managers, and I know early on it only took him really one season for people to already put him in a conversation to be one of the better general managers in Detroit Lions history, and that's just sad. I think it really puts into perspective how off or how much the Fords missed on all of these general managers. And you finally bring in not only a guy that you love as a human being, but he has the ability, and this is why he was brought here, right? His experience covering the draft, at least working in the draft for the Rams for a while under Les Snead, and you're seeing that stuff come to life. So his ability to identify talent, I mean, you're checking that box. The next thing, and I'm curious to see, free agency, like actually going out and getting big fish when you have money available, or trades, whatever the case may be. I know he made the trade for Trinity Benson. I'm going to continue to bring that up. That's probably his biggest miss. But besides that, I mean, this is a special general manager. Like, I'm talking, he's different. His ability to find talent, and I know that gets thrown around, right? Good general managers can do that. No. Brett Holmes has found talent. But you're finding guys like James Houston in the 6th round, second in the NFL, or tied. I think, is he first now with what he just did last game? First in the NFL among rookies in sacks. You have Malcolm Rodriguez, who's first in a ton of categories for rookie linebackers. And then you have Aiden Hutchinson. Like, the list goes on and on. Kirby Joseph, who's going to be a ball hawk. Brad Holmes has shown he could find talent, and that's the biggest thing for the Lions. And that's really been the biggest knock in history, is missing the obvious pick or completely whiffing on 2nd and 3rd and 4th and 5th and 6th late round picks, which Brad does actually his expertise, finding talent late in the draft. So Brad, to me, is my last concern. He was never a concern the last 2 seasons. It was always coaching, right? And now Dan's checked that box for me. So again, you're getting more and more confident with this regime. But for Brad Holmes, for me, and what he's shown me as a Lions fan and someone who talks about this team for a living, this is what a competent general manager looks like. And
I wouldn't say competent. I would say an excellent
general manager. I would agree with you.
I would say he's top 8 in the NFL right now.
But moving forward, Adam, he sets the bar now.
Oh, yes.
Like, now
he holds everybody accountable.
Right.
Because, it used to be with Jim Caldwell, Martin Mayhew, and with Schwartz. There was always a battle between the two. Right now, it seems to me Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are on the same page. Mm-hmm. And I love that.
Lockstep.
And it starts with Brad right now. You know he's going to bring the talent. So what are you going to do with it? And that's why everybody's so confident in the future. I think what we've learned from Brad Holmes more than anything is this is how you build a football team. Within the trenches. Shoring up the offensive line for a decade. Building the defensive front. Mm-hmm. 2 defensive tackles drafted. 4 edge rushers drafted. This is how you build a football team. It starts in the trenches. You work your way out. You find a steal of a wide receiver in the 4th round. You find a steal of an edge rusher in the 6th round. This upcoming draft, you're likely going to go corner, linebacker, interior lineman. You're going to revamp the defense. And next year, you're going to put out a top 10 offense with a top, hopefully, a top 20, top 18 defense. And if you do that, check it off now, the Lions will win the NFC North.
And I got to give credit to Sheila for this too, because again, you hired the general manager. It was first, and then the head coach. It was unconventional. I know the Bears.
It was the head coach first, and then the GM.
Head coach, whatever it was, they didn't hire him. They weren't together. That was my point. That unconventional. I was even a little sketched out at first. Now looking back, everything's clicking. Right, Dan and Brad have a tremendous relationship. They see the game the same way, which is really important. Right?
I'm not going to agree with. Let me rephrase this. I agree with you, but I'm not going to throw around credit when we haven't accomplished anything yet. Do I think this front office is executing and operating at an all-time level? Yes, and Sheila deserves credit for that 100%. I agree with you.
Right.
Am I going to throw adulation and credit to the owner of a football team that has yet to win a division or a playoff game or get to the playoffs? No. Now, am I being a stickler? I'm not. I promise you. I'm on board with what they're doing at the top. And I've been like that prior to this past season. That's always been the notion. It was whether or not you had the right coach. And right now, he's proven something. Next year, next year we'll decide whether or not he's legit. But That's for next year. I don't want to talk about that right now. I agree. At the top level, front office, ownership, it's a lot better.
Learning.
I don't want to say they're not. They are a lot better.
Two things: learning from past mistakes, number one, and number two, good leadership or good leaders surround themselves with people that have strengths in categories in which they lack, right? So the fact that Sheila went and reached out to a Chris Spielman or reached out to a Barry Sanders for help, that does matter to me. And I think that deserves credit, because if she completely missed on both of these guys, and we don't know about Dan Campbell, obviously moving forward, you have confidence in him, but we'll just start with Brad. If she missed on the general manager, we'd all be coming down on her. So we'd all be critiquing her. Oh, you should have hired this guy. Why'd you hire this guy? Instead, we're praising her. So at the same time, I think she deserves credit for not messing it up, because we've seen the Fords easily do that. So that's something new. Big time.
Again, man, Jeff, you're killing me here. You're right. I'm not all the way there yet, but I do think you're correct. I think we can all agree as a city that this football team, at a leadership standpoint, is probably the best it's been in my lifetime, at least. I know that for a fact. It seems like everybody's on the same page. Mm-hmm. And if they weren't, to be honest with you, I don't think you go from 1-6 to 8-8. I don't. If they weren't all on the same page in lockstep of where the project was going. So there you have it.
And it makes her saying, have patience. Now, if they were to lose after that, obviously you could come back at
I still think it was irresponsible to come out and preach patience on a guy who, again,
I get it.
I asked all of you to call in for 4 weeks and pitch me why I should be patient and why I should believe in Dan. Not because I didn't or I didn't want to, but give me the reasons why. None of you could. Why? Because the data didn't back it up.
Right.
So I still think that was irresponsible, but it was a typical thing to do. Feet's at the fire. Everybody feels the pressure. But you know what? I think the pressure that not only we put, but a lot of people put on the team after that 1-6 start, I think does have a small part to do with the turnaround. Mm-hmm. I think everybody acknowledged after the Aubrey Pleasant firing, it was like, oh, shit. That's going to be me if I don't turn it around. Dan Campbell looked himself in the mirror. He's not stupid. He looked himself in the mirror at 1-6 and said, yeah, we got to stop this shit. Like, I know we're all about year 3 and what we're building, boys, but we got to turn this around. This is unacceptable. It's not like they're sitting there at 1-6 and they're saying, hey, guys, we love losing. Like, I get it. But at the same time, you got to hold yourself accountable. You don't get to be 1-6 and not take any criticism, but then go 7-2 down the stretch and only accept the praise. That's how it works. And they knew it. They knew it at the time. They knew it wasn't looking good. So I got to give them credit that they did turn it around.